Hello, so in this lesson we're going to be looking at volume of a prism. So just to clarify, a prism is a 3D shape that has the same sized cross section throughout its entire length. Now the cross section, as you can see here on this sort of diagram of a prism here, is the shape sort of at the front of the prism. So for something to be a prism, that shape has to be consistent throughout the entire length and exactly the same size. So to work out the volume of the prism is this formula here, which is area of the cross section. So it's the area at the front of the prism multiplied by the length of the prism. And that is how you get a volume of a prism. Now we're going to look at two examples today, three, beg your pardon. We're going to look at volume of a cube, cuboid, and then volume of triangular prisms. So just to quickly recap, because obviously we've got to use area of the cross section. To get the area of a rectangle, it is width times height or width times length, okay, which you can see here. And area of a triangle, so you've got the base of a triangle and the height of a triangle there. So area of a triangle is the base times the height, but then you divide by 2. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at a couple of examples. So the first one here, it says calculate the volume of the following cube. Now a cube has all sides the same length. So even though it's only given you the one dimension here of 2 centimeters, because it's a cube, we know that that means that this height here would be 2 centimeters and the length going back would also be 2 centimeters. So the volume, I'm just going to put V for volume, is going to be the area of this cross section here, which is a square, so 2 times 2. And then multiply by the length going back, which is also 2. Now there is another way we can write that. Because it's 2 times 2 times 2, we could write that as 2 cubed if you wanted. So 2 times 2 is 4, times that by 2 gives you 8. So the volume of that cube is 8, and our units, centimeters cubed. Okay, so with volume, units are always cubed. Okay, let's look at these examples here. So calculate the volume of each of the prisms below. So on this one now we have a cuboid. Now the cross section at the front of a cuboid is a rectangle. So it's going to be the area of this rectangle times by the length going back. Now again, just to recap, as we did here, the area of a rectangle is just your width times your height. So again, V for volume is going to be 4 times by 3. And then we're going to times that then by the length going back. So the area of the cross-sectional part here, 4 times 3 is 12. And then times it by the length of the prism, which is 6. 12 times 6 is 72. And again, we're dealing with centimeters, so that's going to be centimeters cubed. Now, if you notice with a cube and a cuboid, it's quite nice and easy. You just end up timesing the 3 lengths together. So on this one, we just did 2 times 2 times 2. And on this one, we just did 3 times 4 times 6. Okay, so you can use that method there, but it's important to know why. Okay, you can just times the 3 lengths together for a cube and a cuboid, because that's not always the same when you're dealing with other types of prisms, which you'll see now when we move on to triangular prisms here. So this is a triangular prism. Here we got a base of 6, a height of 5, and the length of the prism going back is 20. So again, going back to our formula, our volume of our prism is to times the area of the cross section multiplied by the length. So the cross section this time, this here, is a triangle. So I have to work out the area of that triangle first and then times it by the length going back. So going back to this part, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So let's do that part. So the volume is going to be this bit. So 5 times 6, the base times the height, and then divide by 2. So that's going to give me the area of this cross section here. Then to get the volume, you times it by the length going back, which is going to be 20. I'm going to work out that part here. So 5 times 6 gives me 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So that's the area. And then I just go times it by the length going back, 20. So 15 times 20 gives me 300. Units, we're still dealing with centimetres. So centimetres cubed. Okay, different triangular prism this time. Okay, but the rules are still exactly the same. Okay, and you always use for your height this perpendicular height here. If they were to give you the length of one of the slanty sides here, you would